Almost 62 years after the end of World War II, there are still wounds not completely healed. Barry Peterson has the story of an episode from the war in Asia that causes pain to its victims to this day.
Virginia Villarama was 14.
Every day, there were different Japanese men, sometimes 3 or 4. I fainted once and didn't even know if someone was still on top of me.
Simeona Nueva Rama was also 14.
It was painful being raped every night. And in the daytime, they made me cook, wash, and clean.
Some call them sex slaves. The Japanese delicately call them comfort women. As the Japanese army conquered countries like China, the Philippines, and Korea in the years before World War II started, they set up brothels. They justified it by saying it kept soldiers from raping local women. Half a century later, the issue of comfort women isn't going away. These kinds of controversies over the war usually flare up when the Japanese say or do something that offends the rest of Asia. But in this case, it's something the American Congress may do that has angered the Japanese.
Euphemistically known as comfort women, these violated women, mostly Korean, Chinese, and Filipino, but include Dutch women as well, have too long been denied their dignity and their honor.
California Congressman Mike Honda is a Japanese American who, as a child, was interned in U.S. camps during World War II. He held hearings on the issue of the comfort women last month.
The horrific memories of opening night of the brothel have tortured my mind all my life.
Jan O'Hearn was 19. Now living in Australia, she told her story.
In the bathroom, I tried to wash away all the dirt and shame of my body. Just wash it away, just wash it away. But the night was not over yet. There were more Japanese waiting.
Honda wants the U.S. Congress to condemn what the Japanese did to the comfort women.
Individual political leaders in Japan have made their contrite apologies, also recognizing that something had happened to them, but it's not sufficient because it's not formal.
The reaction of Japan's prime minister to the U.S. hearings? First, he denied the women were coerced into the brothels. Then, after a firestorm of criticism, he said maybe some were coerced, but not by the military, only by private agents setting up the brothels. And finally, he settled on promising a government investigation. Yet his comments were tame compared to ruling party leader Nariaki Nakainama, who told us the women were hired by private contractors and were providing a basic service.
I'm sure that in American universities too, you have food distributors coming into schools to provide the students with lunches and coffee. It's like the universities providing the place for the distributors, and it is up to them to hire the staffs and get the materials and set the prices. It is all done by the distributors, right?
Would he be willing to send his daughter to this cafeteria to provide service? This is ridiculous.
Ignatius Ding has spent years campaigning in the U.S. for a Japanese apology. Like others, he traces Japan's refusal to apologize to its samurai past, when a mistake was a matter of shame that often led to a samurai's ritual suicide. So in today's Japan, an apology for wartime atrocities would bring shame not only on Japan's current leaders, but on ancestors who fought in the war.
Whether there's a code of samurai or something else, I think that it is absolutely crazy. This is no different. They are rolling the clock backward for a whole century. This is not a code of honor. This is a code of shame.
But ruling party leader Nariaki Nakayama says it's important to consider the time.
Japan caused atrocities. It was a war.
What's more, he argues, the comfort women were well compensated.
They were making 100 times more than the soldiers. That signifies how much money could be made out of this business.
And his is the view increasingly taught to Japan's school children, as Japanese leaders cleanse textbooks of references that suggest the military forced women into prostitution. And as for the infamous 1937 Japanese massacre in Nanking, China, that historians say took more than 300,000 lives, some Japanese textbooks now say maybe it didn't happen at all. Which is why when some comfort women got an audience with very junior Japanese officials, they screamed, "You must not hide this history," she says. "Don't you have a conscience?" Every week, the comfort women who can protest in South Korea outside the Japanese embassy. Their voices are old now, but they will not be still. Yi Okasan, like others, was taken from Korea to brothels in China. "I count the years," she sings, "of living in a foreign land, only the spring of my youth grown old." Virginia Villarama was 14.
They destroyed our lives. We have no bright tomorrows because of what they did to us.
Time is on Japan's side. Most estimate that there were about 200,000 comfort women. Only a few hundred are still alive. And they wonder, after they are gone, who will remember their stories.